Angle. Good afternoon, this is Sunshine Reports. My name is Timile Faladi. Senator Godswill Akpabio, representing Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District, has emerged the Senate President for the 10th National Assembly. He had 63 votes to defeat his rival, Senator Abdulaziz Yari from Zamfara West Senatorial District, who garnered 46 votes. Akpabio, who holds a degree in law from the University of Calabar, served as Minister for Niger Delta Affairs under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari from 2019 to 2022. He was the governor of Akwa Ibom State from 2007 to 2015. In the same vein, Senator Jibrin Burau has emerged the deputy president after his nomination was the only one put forward by former governor of Ebonyi State, David Umahi. Meanwhile, Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, representing Zaria Federal Constituency, has been elected the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Abbas edged out Idris Wasi and Aminu Jaji in a three-horse race to pick the leader of the House of Representatives. Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu has observed that restructuring of the socio-political architecture of Nigeria is crucial in order for the nation to deepen its democratic gains. At a lecture to commemorate the 2023 Democracy Day, Governor Akeredolu charged citizens to reflect on the significance of June 12 and honor the sacrifices made by the heroes of the country's democracy. The report. The International Culture and Event Center, the Dome in Akure, was filled to capacity as people gathered for the Democracy Day celebration. Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, who described this year's event as significant because the nation just witnessed a transition to a new administration, urged Nigerians to be united for the collective betterment of the country. The governor, represented by his deputy, Lucky Ayedatiwa, reiterated his administration's commitment to the well-being of residents of Ondo State despite financial limitations.
Democracy, development, and political stability in Nigeria reflect what a country should be. A country cannot be called democratic without demonstrating developmental imperatives which engender political stability. As we all know, investment flourishes in a stable and conducive environment where political stability, while political instability scares foreign and local investors. Political instability undermines revenue and income of a country.
Senior Special Assistant to Ondo State Governor on Special Duties, who is also the guest lecturer, Dr. Doyin Odebowale, in his lecture titled Democracy, Development and Political Stability in Nigeria, called for attitudinal change of Nigeria's politicians for democratic settings to be sustained. Odebowale, who advocated a shift in the attention attributed to revenue allocation to revenue generation, also called for a state police.
The current state of despondency compares serious interrogatories on the utilitarian value of democracy as a system of government. If the majority of those on behalf of whom politicians claim to rule suffer from acute privation and are generally dissatisfied with their living conditions. Democracy is commonly defined as the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, following the Gettysburg Declaration of the 16th U.S. President Abraham Lincoln. There is the erroneous impression conveyed by this very popular definition. The political concept is understood to mean popular participation. It has become the most acceptable variant of the system in modern governance, Countries around the world are considered developed, in quotes, in accordance with the extent to which this mode of government is embraced. Those whose polity stands at variance with the accepted democratic norms also lay claims to democratic credentials.
Some stakeholders at the event spoke on the essence of Democracy Day and harped on the need to keep faith with democracy.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu needs our cooperation. Let us give it to him. He has demonstrated enough courage and has shown he can do it. Let us assist him to turn Nigeria around.
The event featured questions and answers session, documentary presentation, cultural display, among others. Meanwhile, Nigerians must continue to actively participate in political process for democracy to thrive. The political class must also be sportsmanly in their conduct with a view to building formidable institutions. Osrc's Sahid Adebisala reports that this was the opinion of stakeholders on Democracy Day celebration in Akure.
Nigeria's independence in 1960 ushered in a democratic dispensation, but the new era was not without challenges. Coup and counter-coup served as purveyors of military administrations, truncating the First, Second, and Third Republic. Of significant note in Nigeria's democratic history is Chief Moshood Kashimawo Abiola, who rode on the back of the Hope mantra to contest the 1993 presidential election in the nation's Third Republic.
Brother, waiting you they think, oh, my sister, help don't come, SDP, MKO, Kingibe, action. MKO, Kingibe, SDP, progress.
Though that election enjoyed reverence by many Nigerians even till now as the nation's freest and most credible election since independence, its annulment by the then military head of state, Ibrahim Babangida, was a landmark moment in the nation's history.
We had the election in 1993 and people voted overwhelmingly across ethno-religious lines. Even when we had Muslim ticket, which was also enacted very recently. But looking at the trajectory, you also realize that we are still evolving. And President Tinubu also acknowledged the fact that we are still evolving and our democracy remains the best option for us as a people because it calls for popular participation.
It's now 30 years in 2023 since that election and the action that characterized it took place, with June 12 now etched in the nation's history as a moment to mark Democracy Day. Conversation arrive on how far the nation has progressed in this system of government.
Over the years, since we returned to democracy in 1999, if not because of the press, it is going to be very difficult for some of younger generation who are now joining politics to understand our history, the trajectory of democracy, how we get to where we are today. So, by and large, you will also know the role played by Nigerian press during the struggle for the return of the mandate of late MKO Abiola, and you know of Kudirat Radio. Many journalists were killed, many journalists were wounded, and many media organizations were shut down by military junta during this struggle. But I think we are happy that we have democracy because there is nowhere we can have free press without democracy.
Strengthening institutions of government to effectively discharge their duties according to social commentators will guarantee significant development in democratic conduct.
We need to build our institutions. We have been trying to build individuals. For instance, we tried to build Nigeria around the former President Buhari, and people got disappointed because we felt he was going to come, wave his magic wand and everything will fall in place. There are specific structure and segments of in our society that will help us reinforce our democratic practice. For instance, the independence of the judiciary is now left for the political class to know that when they don't win, they should not bring the roof down. they should ensure that we guide our democracy jealously. We should not take democracy for granted.
The age-long advocacy for the restructuring of Nigeria and increased participation of citizens also came to the fore at this year's Democracy Day.
Without restructuring this country, we cannot get anything meaningful.
Though Chief MKO Abiola, the acclaimed winner of the June 12 election under the umbrella of the Social Democratic Party, may have died in the struggles, the indelible period in Nigeria's history remains evergreen, particularly in showcasing the unison among the people of the world's biggest black nation. Sahid Aribisala, Osrc News.
Christians have been enjoined to seek God's face in all challenges confronting them. Officiating Minister, Life Bible Church, Akure, Pastor Damilola Oladejo, gave the charge during a prayer session organized by a firm of secretaries of local governments on the state for the well-being of leadership and the state at large. Omoriola Hungbeji reports that the program was attended by eminent personalities, including traditional rulers.
This is the gathering of Christian faithful and the forum of secretaries of local government in Ondo State who are convinced that the nation can only make headway through prayers. Delivering his sermon, Pastor Damilola Oladejo described the gathering of Christian faithful seeking the face of God as the prerequisite for societal development. He encouraged them to sustain the intercession until the desired result is achieved.
You knew that fire had gone low because help does not mean just materiality. What about the salvation that the Lord has given you many years, where you wept and received a counter, but now Satan has taken it away. But now sin has taken it away. But yet you didn't cry. But this might cry. Allah, Master, for it was borrowed. Give me back. If you don't give me, I will not go.
Chairman of the forum, Dr. Gbenga Fashua, explained that the forum decided to come together in one voice under one umbrella to seek good health for Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu and the nation at large.
There is no personality on earth that is immortal. We do not have anybody on earth who has a skin that cannot be fallible. Now, if somebody has one sickness or the other, there are a lot of people who ask that. We seek, one can be healed. For that we come, of course, we call on the church that we want to pray, to seek the face of God, the church and government. For that, we don't think it's something that is out of place, but we gather to seek the face of God for our state, our nation, and our local government.
The Ralepo of Isikan and Olujigba of Ijigba, well, they believe that prayer is crucial in Ondo State at this trying period for the governor to continue his good works.
The major thing that all of us as the children of God, as the old citizens of Ondo State are expecting is for our governor to come back to Ondo State and continue the good work that God has started through him in Jesus' mighty name. We want him good health by the grace of God.
The essence is to thank God and pray God and seek the face of the Lord for Our Excellency the Governor for good health, that God will touch him, that he will recover.
You can see capture that God answers prayer, and he always answers prayer in this church. So I was saying that the governor will be healed even today. By the grace of God, before the end of this new week, you will hear him.
The importance of prayer cannot be overemphasized, hence the need for continued prayers for the governor and the progress of the state in general. Omoriola Hungbeji, Osrc News.
The workforce of Ondo State government has been tasked to be more diligent in the discharge of their duties. This according to a National Productivity Merit Award recipient, Mr. Chris Kolawole, who spoke at the 13th edition of the State Head of Service Interactive Program with Osrc, Change Ambassadors, will enhance effective service delivery. Osrc's Sahid Aribisala reports that the State Head of Service, Mr. Kayode Ogundele, enjoined workers to be solutions providers.
It's the 13th edition of Ondo State Head of Service Interactive Engagement with Change Ambassadors under the Ondo Service Improvement Program, Osrc. The program is designed to enhance effective service delivery among the state workforce in various ministries, departments and agencies of government. In his welcome address, Administrative Secretary, Reform Office, Mr. Adewale Omomewo, said Osrc, through regular training of officers, is emplacing Ondo State Civil Service as the best and cynosure of all eyes.
Let me use this opportunity to remind our change ambassador that you all need to intensify effort in educating, enlightening and sensitizing the entire public servant across all MDA tenets of policy. Let me reiterate that as change ambassador, we have a lot on our hand as we are supposed to be the cream, the light cream, and the pivot of all reform activities and initiatives so that we can get it right and make Ondo State public service the best among its people.
The head of service, Mr. Kayode Ogundele, in his interaction with the personnel, said the increasing dynamism in society requires more from the public service, and as such, government's premium on their training must be reciprocated with action.
Training without monitoring, without evaluation, will be waste of time. You must evaluate the effect of your training. You must be able to know if this training is actually having its required effect in the way people respond to challenges and in the way people carry out their tasks, assigned tasks.
After the opening formalities, a retired permanent secretary of Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, Mr. Chris Kolawole, took the center stage with a lecture on impact of planning and control in effective service delivery. Mr. Kolawole, a recipient of National Productivity Merit Award, tasked the officers on citizen-centric approach to service delivery.
So everything we do must be to ensure that we meet the needs of the citizens. But if you carry out your citizen survey, then you'll be able to get some ideas of what the citizen thinks.
The General Manager, Ondo State Waste Management Agency, Mr. Adefolaju Omowole, educated the change ambassadors on waste management and approaches to attaining sustainable environment.
It's just a pointer, more or less like an example of the kind of service that public service should be rendering to the public, the attitude and the way and manner such services should be rendered.
We are made to understand that we have customers and that the citizens are customers. That you are in a particular office and you are privileged to be in that office does not mean that you just need to act negatively to customers.
No matter the way we do our job, there is always room for improvement. That is effective service delivery.
Which made me to understand that for somebody to be able to deliver effectively, there is need for him or her to plan and control the processes.
According to the Reform Office, performance appraisal for the change ambassadors will be conducted to further evaluate the transmission of various lessons garnered. Sahid Aribisala, Osrc News.
Every business is lucrative if properly managed in line with the aspiration of a handler. Just like photography business, which is believed to be old-fashioned and a menial job in some quarters, the profession has now become an attractive skill to make legitimate money. Omoriola Ngbeji takes a look at photography as a profession and the trajectory from being an ordinary passion to multi-million naira professional vocation.
The easiest way to keep memory alive, especially events like burial, naming ceremony, birthday, Thanksgiving, among others, is to have an evidence in picture and video. It has even gone to the extent that any event without photographer or videographer is considered incomplete. No wonder photography has experienced such a massive evolution over the centuries. Osrc's interaction with experts shows that gone are the days when the profession was believed to be for those who could not keep up with the demands of formal education. Now, a professional photographer is seen as a modern-day magician who knows how to manipulate his fingers to create beauty where there is none. Oluwagbemiga Ashade took us round some equipment being used for quality works. He said some cameras worth more than 6 million naira each. According to him, he ventured into the profession long before he gained admission into university.
Before I found myself in this, people that are doing it, you've seen them dressing ragged. You don't dress well. Most of them, I'm like 95% of them, they are illiterate, are not educated. They are doing it because their father was doing it, or their mom or somebody close to them was doing it. That's how they are doing it then. They don't see it like it's a business. Just like, okay, I have handiwork, let me just be doing it. But thank God for technology. Technology now make people to see that, okay, this photography, you can turn it to many things. You can turn it to positive way and a negative way. If I want to blackmail, it's easier on picture or something. I can turn your face. I can do anything to it. Now, because people say that it's a creative work, that's why people are going to it. People that are not educated, that's why they are not figuring out one after the other. Let me shock you. Many people that are doing it, especially in Akure here, most of them are degree holder.
Another photographer, Ifedayo Abiodun, who has trained over 10 apprentices since inception, confirmed that photography is not only lucrative, but brings about the creativity in man.
This is what I have passion for, and by the powerful grace of God, I started with something small. I started with just small camera, and now things has changed. If you are going fully into photography, you have to be financially loaded. For example, one of the best camera we are using is around 4 million, 5 million naira, apart from setting up a studio.
Photography as a profession is not gender biased. Ladies too are making waves in the industries, with Adetutu Oladeji and Titilayo Aladeshaye speak on their experiences.
I started this profession, let me say, 8 years ago. And what makes me do this job is that I think what a man can do, a woman can do better. Since I started this profession, I did not regret. Ibi tí àwọn tọ́lọ́pàá gan lè dá photography àdébí àdọ́dọ̀ governor àárín jun àdé snap wọn iṣẹ́ wa jẹ́ iṣẹ́ tó wà okay gan tó wà interesting.
Odewale Ayola was also working on a client as at press time. He said some untrained photographers are finding it difficult to switch from analog to digital because of its technicalities.
Some people, they don't have the opportunity to cross from the analog to digital in terms of this photography stuff. And it's because of the equipment is very high, the cost of the price is very high.
It was observed that after shooting, these professionals moved straight to their systems for final editing before printing. This shows that no matter how skilled one is as a photographer, without the knowledge of ICT, the business will not thrive. Omoriola Hungbiji, Osrc News.
As Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark the 2023 International Albinism Awareness Day today, stakeholders have pleaded with government to ensure implementation and enforcement of policies and legal frameworks that protect rights of people living with albinism. They advise that deliberate efforts must be made to ensure protection, inclusion, and equal treatment for them in various aspects of life, including access to education, employment opportunities, healthcare, participation in governance, and social engagements. The global event is observed every June 13 to raise awareness about albinism. The theme for this year's observance is Inclusion is Strength, with a primary objective to promote inclusion of persons with albinism across all areas of life. Experts and stakeholders in the agricultural space have called for a total overhaul of the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) agriculture flagship program, Anchor Bearers program, even as the rate of default remains a subject of disagreement. This comes as the Apex Bank and participating financial institutions may have lost about half of 1.09 trillion naira said to have been disbursed to farmers through the scheme. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) had revealed that only 24% of the amount disbursed and had been repaid, but the CBN pushed back, saying about 52.4% or 503 billion naira had been recovered from the 4.5 million beneficiaries. The suspended governor of the Central Bank, Gordon Emefiele, had disclosed that 1.09 trillion naira had been disbursed through the controversial program. And now to sports. Sunshine Stars of Akure have been confirmed the fourth best football club in Nigeria after finishing behind Nigeria Premier Football League and PFL champions Enyimba, Remo Stars and Rivers United at the Super 6 in Lagos. A tournament that began with 0-1 loss to defending champions Rivers United of Port Harcourt ended on remarkable note for the Akure-based side as a result of a 3-1 win over Lobby Stars of Makurdi. Sunshine Stars missed Continental Court, but fans and supporters of the team expressed some level of satisfaction that they were able to pull the knot out of the fire, having qualified for Super 6 on the last day of the abridged league.
It was a very good tournament for us, considering the fact that Sunshine Stars has never been in this situation in the past 6 years. To be able to play for the championship. We remember that all this while for about 6-7 years, Sunshine Stars has always been battling relegation. But this season has been a wonderful one for us. We push as much as possible to win the tournament or get the continental ticket. But unfortunately, we couldn't do that. But it's refreshing for our young team to be able to rumble among the big boys of Nigerian football.
And with that, we conclude our package on Sunshine Reports this afternoon. Thank you for watching.